As the NFL celebrates 100 years of competition and tradition, the Cowboys and Packers look to bounce back after primetime disappointments. These two NFC foes have been tied to one another's success since the inception of the Dallas Cowboys.
One of the most thrilling comebacks of all time.
Emmitt Smith dances to the end zone.
Through the elusive Aaron Rodgers, his legacy as a Cowboy heartbreaker began on Texas soil.
Right to the 5 and is in for the Green Bay touchdown.
The gutsy gunslinger has since thrown daggers deep in the hearts of Cowboys faithful. Can a new offensive regime and a hungry defense slow down Rodgers in the pack?
You got to prepare the right way.
As the Cowboys return to Dallas, 100 years of nostalgia, victory, heartbreak, passion, commitment, and tradition will be put to test in the spectacle of AT&T Stadium. Cowboys, Packers, who will leave it all on the line?
The Dallas Cowboys pregame show, live from the Star in Frisco, is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. Academy, the official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
Welcome into the Star in Frisco as we get you set here for Cowboys Pregame Live. No other pregame show like it. We talk all about your favorite team, the Cowboys. Brian Broaddus, I am Lindsay Draper, and we will have Danny Surek joining us later, as well as the guys from DallasCowboys.com. And if you felt nervous last week, how do you feel this week, Brian?
Well, you know, it's about these quarterbacks, and it's about legendary quarterbacks. And when you have to play against legendary quarterbacks, you never really feel totally good about the situation. This guy is one of the best all time in Aaron Rodgers. He's going to relish this opportunity today. Take away players, take away receiver, take away whoever you want. He'll find a way to get things done. I worry about that today.
Aaron Rodgers never lost at AT&T Stadium. Cowboys, Packers both looking to go 4-1 on the season today. And the big question is, can the Cowboys offense bounce back from putting up 10 points last week on the road? Brian and Jason Garrett said, we're going to bounce back whether we won or lost the same way. You agree?
Right. Yeah, no, he's always taken that approach. And I think that's one of the things that I appreciate about Jason Garrett, you know, and the way he deals with the team. It's never too high, never too low. It's always the same approach. And they went back, they studied the tape. You know, the offensive line just did not do a good enough job last week. And that was a big, big problem in that football game. Give the Saints a lot of credit. They got in a cover 2 look the whole entire game. And then all of a sudden, you know, the Cowboys couldn't run the football against a 6-man box. And when they can't run against a 6-man box, they're going to have problems in these games.
Of course, the turnovers were huge from Ezekiel Elliott and Jason Witten. Very just uncharacteristic things of them both. But 4 for 11 on 3rd down on the road was the big shocker with, you know, in combination with Zeke's numbers that day. It was just a big head scratcher of why it wasn't working.
Yeah, no, it was a big head scratcher for Kellen Moore and the offensive staff as well. They look at that. They went back and looked at the tape and said, you know, okay, this is what we have to do better. And then again, the offensive line, Mark Colombo, those guys, there were just a lot of problems up front. Dak Prescott, you know, he wasn't as accurate as he needed to be. There were a lot of contested balls on the outside. The Saints Dennis Allen dared the Cowboys to beat them with Devin Smith and then with Randall Cobb on the outside, and they couldn't do it. So again, this is kind of a copycat league, they like to say. You know, Mike Pettin today might be throwing some different looks at him that we saw last week from the Saints. Got to be ready for that.
Dak Prescott likes to come back to the locker room, take inventory of the players, make sure that everybody's focused, feeling the same way coming into a new week after a loss. And here's Dak on how he particularly handled taking that L from the Saints.
That's the unique part about this game is when you come in on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it is, you've got to wipe that slate clean. I mean, obviously we came in Monday, cleaned up our issues from the game, and then moved on, turned the page quick. We've got a good team coming in this Sunday, so it's important to be on to the next.
How was Kellen this week after the game like that?
No different. I mean, that's kind of what I was just saying. I mean, you walk around this locker room, And I think I said it when we were 3-0 or whatever. This team's not really winning. We can't focus on that. We know the potential of this team. We know how good we can be, and we can't focus necessarily on what the record is. You take the good, you take the bad, you live and learn from it, and you get better because of it. So everybody's just been in with the mindset of getting better, however we can.
When you self-scouting, do you see the other teams trying to copy what the Saints did to slow you guys down and you know, whether preventing the big play, stopping the run?
Right.
I'm trying to copy what they did.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think people would probably say that's the recipe right now. But we go back at it and look at it from a self-scout. I mean, we just didn't make the plays when they presented themselves. So, as I said, I think I said after the game, I mean, if that's the case, that's what team's going to do. We encourage it. We'll have a plan.
Do you compensate based on who's going to protect the front side or the back side?
No, I don't. I mean, that goes together for this whole team. I mean, I trust that offensive line, whoever they fill in, but it's about trusting the whole offense, trusting the plays, trusting the players around me. And if I'm focused on one person's in for this guy, then I'm going to be late on a read, or I'm not going to necessarily, I'm going to miss something here or miss something there. So for me, it's about focusing on my job, my 111th, and go out there and execute it.
All right, there he is, Dak Prescott in preparation. It's no secret, Brian, they came out of that Saints game banged up with some injuries. Let's take a look at who's up and who's down with the official inactive list for today. Brian, I'll just let you go in. First of all, Tyron Smith, though, that's the headliner. This is not good.
Yeah, that's Cam Fleming starting at left tackle. And early in this game, keep an eye on that left tackle spot because their intention is not to help him early. But if he has problems, then they'll make that adjustment. But early, keep an eye on that. See how it goes on that left-hand side, though, with the Smiths rushing on both sides there.
And when you say, just explain it a little bit, when you say planning to help him, what exactly that means.
Yeah, I think that, you know, when you, and this is where offensive tackles really hate having help because traditionally help might get in the way unless you're dealing with the guy. Marcus Allen was one of the best I've ever seen as far as a running back going over and chipping. Emmitt Smith getting over, chipping on an outside linebacker or a rusher. Usually these tackles don't like somebody to their side helping them that way because you get in the way. So if he's able to single block on the rushers on the outside and not have to have any help over there with a tight end or a back, that's just going to make things a lot cleaner for the Cowboys over there.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for clearing that up. Let's talk Michael Gallup. He's obviously back today. You watched him in practice on the tape, and you said he sprinted, he planted, and cut over, and he looks good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they were very excited about that. Britt Brown, the associate athletic trainer, and Michael Gallup did a great job working with each other here. And it was, you know, a 2 to 4 week injury, and lo and behold, what he misses just the 2 games. So that's really a big thing right there to get him back on the field. He has got the ability to turn this game around. He can create so many other opportunities, not only for Cooper, but for the guys also like Cobb, and then also Jason Witten, and then also Blake Jarwin.
That's big. It's going to help Coop out there on the other side, and we have much more to come about Randall Cobb. But first, have you downloaded the Cowboys app to do free to play? Brian Broaddus actually won in our group last week. That's the least shocking thing I've heard.
I tell you what, I hope I would have won. If not, I need to do something else.
So you got to be 21. It's completely free to play. Literally, you just answer questions quarter by quarter, take a stab at what you think is going to happen, and then boom. Cash could be in your wallet.
Absolutely.
Derek says he's not going to pay you, though.
I know. I figured that.
All right, let's check in with Danny Sarek now, who is going to tell us more, Danny, about the topic of the week, and that is simply, how do you contain Aaron Rodgers?
The Cowboys understand, Lindsay, that it's going to be a very difficult task to contain Rodgers. Rodgers is 6-2 in his career against the Cowboys when he started games and has never lost at AT&T Stadium. Rodgers is a player who is known for his ability to run the ball when needed and extend the plays. Cowboys defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator Chris Richard says Rodgers is incredible at understanding what his system is, where his route runners are, and what the Cowboys, what their weaknesses could be on defense. And then in general, just taking advantage of those weaknesses he sees in the defenses.
He's special behind in the pocket. You know, he can create, and he has again the elite ability to scramble. You know, as much credit as the quote-unquote scrambling quarterbacks get, it's like this guy is like he's an elite scrambler. So we know that. Again, we want to keep him bottled up. want to cover and just make it as difficult as possible.
He's really, I think he has no weaknesses. You know, he can throw the ball all over the field. He's really good at buying time and escaping the pocket and keeping his eyes downfield. And then, he can just throw it all over the place. So he's a really tough player to play against, but it's a lot of fun. He's a good challenge.
Green Bay will have some differences under new head coach Matt LaFleur. However, linebacker Jalen Smith says Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers.
There's differences, but he's Aaron Rodgers, so we know what's coming. And for us, we got to prepare the right way.
Green Bay has won 7 of the last 8 matchups.
Great guy, great player. Been doing it for a long time. It's time for us to have some success.
The last 3 matchups between these teams have been decided by 5 or fewer points. Head coach Jason Garrett says Rodgers is so difficult to defend because he can beat teams in almost every way. In play action, inside the pocket, outside the pocket, when the play breaks down. Garrett says he understands this team will have its work cut out for them going against Rodgers.
Yeah, Danny, you said it perfectly. That's exactly what everyone's been talking about this week, Brian, including former players. Interesting story. Danny McCray, former special teams demon here for the Cowboys, played for the Bears a little bit, told us a story earlier this week about how once he was trying to disguise a coverage on Rodgers when he was with the Bears and sunk down. He said Rodgers looked at him before the snap, winked at him, and then threw a touchdown over him.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard at that. Like, that just shows you, Aaron Rodgers. You've said it. You have to throw some. He's seen everything.
He has seen everything. And again, it's not about disguise, though, but it's about ways of kind of controlling him within the pocket. And the key with the Cowboys today is their ability to rush the edges. And we talk about that. We talk about push in the middle. But the edges, to me, are going to be important today because what's going to happen is if you rush too far up the field and then they wash you, being Brian Bulaga or or on the outside there on the left tackle with their guys over there. That to me is David Bakhtiari. Excuse me. That's where the problem is. If you get washed on the play and not are able to go back inside, and that's where he sees the angles. That's where he sees the inside, where he's able to run. And they've got to be ready for that. They've got to be ready. When those tackles set, they've got to be able to, the Quinn and Lawrence have got to be able to rush on the level and then close on the level. Don't get past Rodgers and allow him to rush inside.
How big is it for Rodgers not having Devontae Adams today?
It is big, but
not that big.
No. And again, with their receivers, it's with Geronimo Allison that was playing. I mean, there's a tall, long guy right there. And I think Rodgers is going to throw the ball up today and to these receivers. Scantling this is the same way. And they're going to throw that ball up, and he is going to try and take advantage of the Cowboys playing that way. Can they find a way to stop these tall receivers from reaching the ball?
All right, Aaron Rodgers has said it himself. This might make you mad as a Cowboys fan, but he actually loves playing here because of how much he wins at AT&T Stadium.
Just some places you feel really comfortable. I don't know. It's not really a different surface. It's a artificial grass surface. There's so much going on. Obviously, it's a beautiful stadium with the jumbotron and the way it's set up, and an interesting kind of walk through the club, as you're heading on the field, and a lot of stimuli. But we've had some fun games there over the years, and obviously a couple big ones there against Dallas. Obviously in the playoffs, hitting Cookie there on the sidelines, and then the last time we were there, hitting Devontae, to win that game was pretty special.
Dallas's defense here, just the way they can chase things down sideline to sideline.
Yeah, it's a very athletic sideline to sideline defense. You have speed all over the field. They have three fantastic linebackers with Sean and the 2 young guys who are playing so well. The front is very active. 2 great pass rushers. Inside, they're doing what Coach Marinelli has taught for years. A lot of line stunts and line movement to combat not having 340-pound guys inside. And the back end's playing really well. So it's a sound defense. It's not extravagant, but they play their defense really well. Their coverage has been tight, and they've been slowing some people down for sure.
All right. I mean, his assessment is pretty accurate. The guy knows a lot about football.
Yeah,
That's exactly what Rod
That's the big ones there.
does.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's talk about who he will be going up against, and that is Robert Quinn and DeMarcus Lawrence. I'm leading with Quinn because he's been playing more splashy for me, Brian, but can DeMarcus maybe kick it up today?
Yeah, and I tried to get the spit out those tackles for you there, and I was struggling with that whole thing. But yeah, with Bakhtiari, though, he's had some problems, and now looking who against Robert Quinn is going, and then Brian Bulaga on the other side has a bad shoulder. So keep an eye on him, how long maybe he could go. He's practiced this week and all that, but Lawrence is the type of guy that will pound on you, and he could wear a guy down like Bulaga. Let's see if he takes advantage of that. Quinn on the other side, Bakhtiari is not a very strong guy. He's a really athletic guy, so he'll try and match Quinn on that edge with width and then to stay in front of him and make Quinn have to run over him. I wouldn't be surprised today if Quinn gets a sack of taking Bakhtiari up the field and then moving back underneath. Run him wide and then run back underneath and see how he handles that.
Brian, you and I sit at the press conferences every day with Jason Garrett. It's hard to get him to say, oh, he was the best I played with, or make any comparisons. And someone asked him about Robert Quinn's bend, and he said, guys, it's maybe the best I've seen, which is big for Jason Garrett to say.
No, it is, and he doesn't like to compare guys. He really doesn't. That's not. But all the great pass rushers in this league, all the great pass rushers that have played in this league, the one thing that they were able to do was to bend. And you have to be able to, in this day and age with the athletic tackles that teams have, you have to be able to carry them and get to their shoulder, their far shoulder, and then get underneath them. All the great ones, they do not allow offensive tackles to get their hands on you. Once they get their hands on you, then they've got you. But if you keep their hands off you, get that shoulder pass, that foot pass, there's a chance you're going to get you a sack.
All right, we got more from Robert Quinn on just his electric start to the season so far.
You know, one thing I definitely love about this locker room, you know, everyone kind of mixes and mingles together. It's not just sectioned off by position groups and, you know, you kind of stuck with your position. They kind of mix and mingle, you know, allow guys to mix and mingle in the locker, the way they have it set up. So, you know, that allows you to get to know all, you know, everybody on your team, not just your position groups. You know, I had the benefit of going against Tyron, you know, training camp and OTAs and stuff like that. So to see, you know, one of the best, if not the best, you know, left tackle in the game, you know, just allows you to perfect your craft each and every day, you know. So I definitely think I'm more of a hands guy. But, you know, as D lineman, you can't just be one. You got to be a little bit of it all. And when it's time to change it up, well, I'll save it for when it's that time, I guess.
Water a long count. He points with his right hand. Right foot in front of his left. He's got the snap with two gloved hands. Blitzer off the edge from the backside. Bridgewater is buried. Back at the 33. Robert Quinn with the sack.
You know, if you got a straight line at the quarterback, those are sometimes the hardest tackles, but you know, make sure you get them down. Then if you got a real good shot, you know, try to get the ball out, create a turnover, and make a game-changing play for the team. You know, so, you know, any time, any opportunity you have to try to make a game change, a sack, a tackle for loss, a, you know, PBU, whatever it may be, you know, it affects the game. It helps the defense. You go out there and give it your all. So, I mean, it's really nothing more to it besides, you know, selling out for the team.
They blitz from behind, and they're going to sack him back at the 26-yard line, and it's going to be Robert Quinn.
What we've done in the past is gone. I mean, yeah, it's just great to look back and say we've done some, the past few weeks, done some good things, but, you know, all we can do is look forward to our next opponent.
And he is dragged down at the 29-yard line by Robert Quinn.
What drives me? Greatness. You know, I look at the list, you know, my draft class, you know, I got to compare myself to these guys, you know, Von Miller, J.J. Watt, Justin Houston, Ryan Kerrigan, to see where they are in their careers. You know, I think they have a heck of careers, but they have done some great things, and having some slip-ups in my career, I know I still got a lot more to prove to myself. So when I see how great those guys have been doing, I know I got something left in the tank to prove. Really just not to the world, really just to myself, how great I want to be. And I don't know. I mean, I got standards of my own that's out of this world. So I've been trying all my life to achieve them.
Robert Quinn actually looking to go down in the history books with the Cowboys today. If he gets another sack, he'll be the first player to ever have a sack in 3 of his first consecutive games as a Cowboy. Try to say that fast. Let's go out to AT&T Stadium and check in with Nick Eatman and Rob Phillips with their players to watch, both of them on the line.
Thanks very much, Lindsay. Roof and doors shut here at AT&T Stadium with the possibility of rain later in the afternoon. Okay, Nick. Aaron Rodgers has never lost in this building, but the Cowboys are looking for a 3rd straight win with Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. So something's got to give, right? Right. Can the Cowboys offense get back on track today, and if so, why?
Well, I mean, I think that the fact that they are playing well, they did have a speed bump last week against the Saints, but, you know, the way that they are playing and playing well here, I think that Dak, Mari Cooper getting Michael Gallup back, I think that they are playing well enough, and they can run the football against Green Bay. That's one thing that I think the Packers have shown, that they don't run the ball well. So even though they got some guys banged up, I still think the offense has enough pieces here.
We saw Tyrone Crawford warming up early, doing some pass rush moves with assistant coach Andre Durant. He's active for the first time in a couple days. That's big for this defensive line. They got to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers.
They got to get pressure, and then they also got to tackle him. I mean, there's 2 different things, obviously, because he is very slippery. I mean, I don't know if anyone ever considers him one of the more elusive guys, but he is, and he can run, he can scramble, and so getting to him is one thing, getting him down is another, and I think having Crawford back will certainly help.
All right, offensive side of the ball, give me a guy you're watching today against Green Bay.
I got to go with Cam Fleming on the left tackle. I mean, you know, anytime you lose Tyron Smith, yeah, it's going to be a big drop-off. But I'll say this about Fleming. Wynn did some research. 19-4 is his starting record. So most of it with the Patriots. They got a guy, Tom Brady.
That helps,
that helps.
Yeah.
3-0 with Dallas. So last year when he had to play, it's not the same, but they still won. So let's see if they can keep that up.
There's a reason they signed him to a 2-year deal in the spring. Okay, defensive side of the ball, I'm going with Malik Collins. He's gotten a couple sacks here. Yeah. That was arguably the best player in training camp, and he's shown up, especially these last 2 games. That middle rush against Aaron Rodgers is so big because you're trying to kind of flush him towards those 2 pass rushers you got, Tank and Robert Quinn. If they can get some of that, that's going to disrupt his ability to throw.
And Crawford comes back. I would imagine Crawford will play a little bit inside as well. Antoine Woods will be out still, but I like to see Crawford in there and maybe helping Malik Collins.
All right, Gil Brandt's getting his ring of excellence, Hall of Fame ring today. Danica Patrick in the house. Jordy Nelson, former teammate of Aaron Rodgers. Big fight feel today.
Yeah, Jordy Nelson wearing a Randall Cobb Kentucky jersey. So showing support of Randall Cobb, but also here with the Packers, probably dual support.
Split loyalties there. Okay, back to Lindsay and the crew. That's the early word from AT&T Stadium.
We'll catch up with you later on. Let's check in now with Danny and Brian, who are in the film room with your matchup to watch today. You cannot overlook this one, guys.
Thanks, Lindsay. Brian and I are back in the film room, and Brian's going to break down 2 players he's going to keep his eye on in today's game. Brian, who are you watching today for the Packers?
Yeah, it really starts with their secondary, I think, and with Jaire Alexander right there. I mean, he is a guy to me when you talk about how you should play cornerback in this league. Now, last week we saw a guy, with Lattimore, what he was able to do with Cooper. But Alexander's the type of guy that he's capable of just completely taking you out of the football game. This is one of the top 5 corners in the league right now, and I'm going to give you an example of why he's that way. This is going to be a play from the Philadelphia game. They're going to run a combination route where they're going to try and run Jeffrey behind, and this is just going to be about reaction. This is going to be about following the guy inside, but then coming back to the outside to make the play. So, this is the type of stuff when you're dealing with a cornerback that has that kind of knowledge, that kind of ability, that kind of awareness, it's a difficult one to play. Here, I'm going to show you right here, Alexander on the outside. Route goes inside. Look at that right there, Danny. See how he goes inside, and then the reaction when he reads Jeffrey outside. Look at the length and the reach to get to the outside, back outside, knock that ball away. That is just a great example of his guy goes inside. They play it off, and then he goes out there and knocks the football away.
Brian, that's tough to play against because that's not just a physical attribute he has. That is natural instinct and understanding who you're playing against. How do the Cowboys go up against Alexander?
Well, what they're going to have to do is he's going to play both sides of the field. So you have to be ready for that. And that means, does he take Cooper? Does he take Michael Gallup? Does he walk in the slot and play a little bit? He could play any one of the positions. You might see him on the right side, then the next play he'll be on the left side. So be alert of him walking around that way.
So who's your Cowboy to go up against him and take him down today?
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at Michael Gallup today. And, Michael Gallup has, missed the last couple of games, but back in the lineup, practiced well this week. So that's a good thing for the Cowboys to have him back in the lineup. They could have used him last week, and I'm going to show you why they could have used him last week in this thing. So when we have Michael Gallup, again, up at the top, right here, and with Gallup, he could play anywhere in the formation. He could play inside, outside, and be a matchup problem. On this particular route right here, what Michael Gallup likes to do, we can run slants with him, but you could also, what you could do is take him down the field and then run those deep ends and work in front of the safeties. I think the safeties for the Packers are a good group, but I think you can attack the middle of the field with these guys a little bit. So I'm going to show you a play here forward, run it for you. You're going to see him, the separation right there. Look at that, the off coverage, Witten with the motion across right there. Nice job. There he is. He's running inside. They're going to run the boot. See the boot, they get the action. They get the fake to Elliott, get everybody flowing, and then here comes Gallup back over the top. See, these are the kinds of plays, I think, Danny, that they missed last week from Michael Gallup. That his ability, look at that right there. Safety driving hard on the ball, corner in trail position. Gallup behind him makes the play, makes the catch. I think that's what they missed last week, and they could sure use that in this game this week.
Michael Gallup led the team in yards the first 2 games of the season, and then you mentioned briefly he missed the last 2 weeks because he had an injury on his left knee. He had meniscus surgery. So realistically, what kind of an impact do you see him making in his first game back today?
You know what? Talking to people on the medical staff and stuff, they said this guy right here it was 2 to 4 weeks he was supposed to be out. And once he came in and said, hey, I will be back in 2 weeks, he was back in 2 weeks. You have to be a willing player. He's ready to go. The practice for him, talking to people, was really good. He looked like he was able to cut, bend, move, do all those things, go after the ball like that. I think he has a big impact in this game.
This week, Gallup also said he's been cleared by his doctors, and it's more about the mental side of it now. His knee, he's totally capable physically. It's just about coming over that hurdle mentally. Brian's 2 players to watch are Jair Alexander with the Packers and Michael Gallup with the Cowboys.
Great stuff, Danny and Brian. The big question of the week is this a copycat league? Will teams try to take what the Saints did and maybe Marshawn Lattimore and how he covered Amari Cooper? Well, Matt LaFleur talks a little bit about how the Packers may try to do that.
Well, every game's a little bit different. I thought the Saints like you said, they did a great job. And we know that, Dallas is a great offense, first of all. And we got to play our best ball come Sunday.
That was the challenge with Lawrence as far as a pass rusher, and is he any different than the gauntlet of guys that you faced so far, do you think?
No, he's really good. And then opposite, I've got a lot of familiarity with Robert Quinn. I was with him in L.A. And it's not just those 2 guys. They got other guys up front that they've been extremely disruptive. When you cut on the tape, the one thing that you can always count on from a Rod Marinelli defense is these guys are going to fly around, and they play 100 miles an hour. They're not overly complicated, but they're very physical and they play very fast.
Along those lines, Matt, not every team has a handful of linebackers who can move laterally like those guys can. I mean, what kind of challenge is that for you guys offensively too, when they've got a handful of guys who can change direction and really run sideline to sideline?
Yeah, all 3 of those guys are premier. I think they're really good linebackers. The guy that I've had a lot of familiarity with Sean Lee throughout the years, playing in that division for 4 years or being on a team that was in that division. And then Jalen dating back to Notre Dame, and then Van Der Esch is, I think he's an up-and-coming guy, man. All those guys are big, long, and can all run, just like you said. So we're going to have to be on our details, on our fundamentals to handle those guys on Sunday.
All right, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur got his eye on the Cowboys defense, but we all have our eye on Tony Pollard, Brian. We want to know if this guy's going to get more than 2 plays this week. We've heard over and over all week long that's just how it shook out. The time of possession was crazy different. The Saints had the ball a lot. But what do you think realistically their mindset is going into today?
Well, it's not the mindset they had last week, because if they do that, it's a terrible plan. You know, I think you have to find a way to get Tony Pollard more involved. And, you know, he's obviously, we've seen what he can do. He's got toughness, the ability to catch the football. You know, he runs tough. All those things you like in a running back, he could do. Now, talking to some coaches afterwards, I'm like, hey, what was the deal? Guy practices well all week. The intent was to play him, and then he doesn't play. And they go, hey, we're scratching our heads about that today, too, or about that last week, too. So I think that Tony Pollard will see a steady diet of work in this game. They need to get him on the field, especially if Ezekiel has success running the football. You need to give Zeke a little blow. Get Tony Pollard involved. If the Cowboys are doing a great job blocking up front, Tony Pollard could do just as much damage to them as Ezekiel Elliott can.
All right, you see it right there on your screen. Packers allowing 142 yards per game. I believe the Cowboys are averaging 145 on the ground. So here's Ezekiel Elliott's plans on attacking that Green Bay defense.
When you look at Green Bay, what opportunities do you see for your running game?
I mean, some teams have had some good running games against them. But we just got to come out there and play our football. Not really too focused on them, just focus on us and just going out there and get better as a team and getting a W.
After the game, you took blame for the fumble to a certain extent, but did you go back and look at the film? Was your elbow down?
I don't really think it matters if my elbow is down or not. It's my job to leave it up to, not to leave it up to the refs, basically. So it's my job to make sure I possess the ball all the way through that play. So, you know, there's not even a chance for them to call the fumble. So, I mean, elbow may or may not have been down, but, I mean, one thing I can't control is just holding on to the ball.
What could you have done differently then, I guess, at that point?
Hold on to it tighter.
After a game like that, are you more motivated to make amends, or do you have a guard that's trying to do too much and playing outside of what you can do?
You can't go out there and do too much. You just got to go out there and be yourself. Just got to go out there and try to win the next football play. So, I mean, you can't be trying to hit a home run every play, and you just got to go out there and play your football.
There's so much that goes, again, with the line blocking, play calling, what the defense is doing, too. But when you have a game like that that's so far below what you normally do you take it personally? How does that impact you?
You definitely take it personally because, I mean, we didn't expect to go out there and only put up 10 points. So, I mean, you got to take it personally, but, I mean, you also got to, you know, take what you learned from the game and kind of move on. You know, we're on to a new opponent, a new team this week, and it's a different obstacle. So we just got to figure out the best way to overcome this one.
What's the resolve of this team after a game like that? I mean, you just put it in behind you and move forward? I mean, no loss of confidence, no loss of anything?
No, you got to put it behind you. If we would have lost the first game and won the next three, we'd be in the same position. So, I mean, that's kind of how we look at it. Just, I mean, it was a game we lost. It's a long season. We're 3-1, showing a good play. So, just got to keep getting better as a team and figure out how to get this win this Sunday.
Well, Ezekiel Elliott's looking to make the magic happen today against the Packers. There was a little pregame magic with a friendship we know is still strong, even though they are no longer on the same team. Randall Cobb and Aaron Rodgers. Danny, you got to catch up with Randall Cobb earlier this week, and without a doubt, the love is still there, but it's a little different this week, I'm sure, for Randall.
It is, Lindsay. However, wide receiver Randall Cobb has said he has had this game circled on his calendar since the schedule was released. Cobb spent the last 8 years with Green Bay before signing with the Cowboys in March. He says he has all love for his former teammates, as we saw with him chatting it up with Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers. However, once he steps in between those white lines, it's a dog-eat-dog world.
It's definitely going to be emotional somewhat for me, but I think the biggest thing is just the way that you prepare, you know, the way that you watch film and you study your opponents, the way that you have your practice habits and you continue to do those things and not get too high and don't get too low if anything happens in the game. It's staying consistent and trying to stay even keel, because at the end of the day, this is one of 16 games for us, and yeah, it's going to be a fun one for me, but at the end of the day, it's about finding a way to get a win and stay on the track that we're on.
Head coach Jason Garrett says Cobb was a pain to play against with Green Bay.
You see him do a lot of little things that just make a difference, and we competed against that for a long time. It always seemed like he was making big plays at big moments, not only when he played against us, but throughout his career. And that's what we loved about him, that's what we admired about him, and that's why we wanted to get him here. And he's certainly been able to do that through these first 4 games for us. We're really lucky to have him.
Cobb says he's still transitioning to Dallas, mostly adjusting to the heat and toll roads. However, his teammates have welcomed him in since day one. Cobb is a 9-year veteran in the league, however, first-year Cowboy. And he says his leadership does not change when he changes teams.
For the most part, football doesn't change. Once you get inside the white lines, your practice habits, the way that you carry yourself, the things that you do in the meeting rooms, throughout the facility, trying to be the best teammate that you can be, but also respecting everybody that works in the building, the janitors, the people in the equipment staff, the training room, in the lunchroom, just showing character and being a guy with character and morals and trying to lead by example in that way.
Cobb says as a leader, this team needs to find more consistency, especially after the loss to the Saints in Week 4. He says this team has all of the talent they need to have tons of touchdowns and lots of success throughout the season. Cobb says this is the game the Cowboys need to regroup and get back on track.
Yes, Danny, hopefully this is the one. And last week, Brian, I know a big question was, not last week, but the whole season, the replacement from Cobb from Cole Beasley. And let me get back to my thought of last week. It really hit me when Dak Prescott was looking, the final drive from the Saints, the throw was to Randall Cobb, and he was upfield a good bit. And that's where mainly I see the difference from where Cole Beasley would be on the field to where Randall Cobb is.
Oh, no, absolutely. And when they signed Randall Cobb, I immediately knew what the plan was. When Cole Beasley was let go and able to sign with the Buffalo Bills, or got put into free agency, that was the plan was really simple. Okay, find the best slot receiver, but find a guy that can make plays down the field. Now, we've seen Cole Beasley, the Giants game, big touchdown catch in that game, but I'm talking down after down after down. That's what you get with Randall Cobb. Yeah, he had a bad drop, a third down, ball a little behind him. He'll tell you he's got to catch that ball. But still, his ability to make plays down the field. He's had some big plays brought back because of penalties and stuff, of things that he's made down the field. That's the biggest difference between him and Cole Beasley, that ability to get down the field and make those plays.
Looking live at AT&T Stadium, Jason Witten, is probably in his nightmares having that fumble last week. Right. Coop behind me as well, 2 offensive penalties. So a lot of guys with that little monkey on their back that they want to let go and leave in the past.
That was a tough game offensively. There was some thought about, okay, you got to go in there and run the ball. We got to protect. We got to, make plays down the field. They really didn't do much of that. And so, and this is a whole different animal. The fact that you have to play against Aaron Rodgers in this game too. He puts a lot of pressure because he's going to make plays on his side of the field. Now you've got to be able to match his intensity and kind of maybe score right along with him.
Let's check in with Kellen Moore from earlier this week, who had to answer the media after his first loss as an NFL coordinator.
I don't think you hone in too much on that. Obviously, you recognize that they got some firepower and he can make some plays and turn this thing into a little bit of a high-scoring game. But at the same time, it's not always the case, and so you just play ball.
You try not to overanalyze things, whether you do good things or bad previous week. How you just
Yeah, that's part of the process. I think you just kind of keep it the same. Meetings are the same structure, go over the same stuff. There's good, there's bad in every game. Whether you score, 30-some points or you score 10 or whatever, there's parts to both of it.
What do you admire about Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. Every play is a chance to make something big out of it. The way he plays, and obviously he's really sound, does a lot of good stuff. And then at the same time, he can make some stuff once it kind of gets off schedule. Sometimes that's creates some big play opportunities for him. Certainly, we got Randall. Randall was a part of a lot of those over the years, and so they've obviously created a lot of opportunities that way.
You have a guy in Dak who has some of those tendencies where sometimes the play's just getting started when the pocket breaks. What similarities do you see there at all?
Yeah. Hopefully, maybe some similar. Obviously, I don't think anyone's, Aaron's probably the best, maybe of all time, handling those situations. And Dak's done a really good job. And so hopefully, as this thing continues to build, he gets more and more comfortable with it because he's made some really good plays doing that.
Kellen Moore, you gotta scheme well when every drive you had could make or break this game.
Oh, he only had 9 in the game last week. So yeah, and then you had the 2 turnovers in the game as well, and that's a problem. But yeah, they've got to take advantage because, like I said, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to put some points up in this game. I really, really do, and I think you're going to have to match him. And Dak Prescott has done a nice job over the years going toe to toe with him. So. Let's see if the Cowboys are up to the task, though, this week.
Does it make you even more nervous, Brian, that I'm watching ESPN, NFL Network this morning, getting ready, and everyone's picking the Cowboys to win?
Yeah, on Sunday Night Football, they all picked the Cowboys, too, last week. That always makes me nervous.
All right, your matchups, Brian Broaddus, Malik Collins. How's he been playing this year to you in a contract year?
I think he's been playing pretty well. He's been pretty disruptive inside. We talked about Matt LaFleur talked about the twist stunts, and Aaron Rodgers talked about twist stunts and things like that. Well, we'll see. With the way that these the linebackers with Jalen Smith, how he's been able to go and work inside and those tight twist stunts. I think have been effective, though. He's been explosive. He's been quick. Elton Jenkins, who was a center at Mississippi State. He's a rookie. He'll be playing guard right now. So, yeah, that's be a good matchup for him to have to take advantage of a guy that's a very talented blocker. He just doesn't have a lot of experience.
We touched on Cam Fleming earlier, but this isn't new to him, right? Like, he's the backup, obviously, but he's had some time with the Cowboys, the Patriots.
Yeah, started a Super Bowl. So, yeah, that's all you need to know. But, yeah, I think, though, that, again, the worry here is, can he hold up by himself one-on-one through the entire game? I always tell you, hey, grade these offensive linemen on 65 plays. Don't grade them on the 2 or 3 bad ones they might have. And get ready. Cam Fleming could have 2 or 3 bad plays in this game. But if he has 6 or 7 bad plays, then the Cowboys are going to have to figure out, the coaching staff is going to have to figure out a way to get him some help in this game. They can't go back to what happened in Atlanta several years ago.
That's what I was going to say,
Yeah.
Brian. I think people are a little scarred from that incident.
You should be. You should be.
Yeah, that ranks up there, right?
Absolutely. That's just a misuse of personnel and not doing what you needed to do in order to protect yourself. Dak Prescott, you cannot allow Zadarius Smith and these guys to come screaming off the corner. Preston Smith, you cannot allow them to come screaming off the corner and hit Dak Prescott in the back all night. That will be a problem for the Cowboys if that happens.
All right, we asked you guys to send in your questions to us on Twitter. We've got 3 lucky winners that we're going to go through today and answer these right now as we get closer and closer to kickoff. Brian, has Dalton Schultz play deserved him a roster spot? You know what he means by that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mike wants to know about that. Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz, he hasn't shown what we thought Dalton Schultz would have been, 2 years ago. I mean, you felt like, there was going to be some growth. But keep an eye on Dalton Schultz today. Your question is going to get answered because Dalton Schultz is going to play in this football game. I could see them getting into some 12 personnel stuff. Maybe not some 13 personnel, but 12 personnel stuff where it is Jarwin and it is Dalton Schultz. Maybe using him as that helper I was talking about on the left side, or using him in the running game, playing as an inline tight end with Jarwin behind him or Witten behind him and trying to get some push on whatever side they're on.
Next question from Twitter. As you see the Cowboys warming up behind us, please tell me Donovan Wilson is going to get some playing time today.
Well,
Mark wants to know.
Yeah,
He's
Mark.
active.
Yeah, and he is active. But Donovan Wilson will be playing on special teams. If they have to go to a backup player, it's going to be Thompson. They just have more. They have more trust in him right now. Wilson, yeah, he's been practicing. They like how he's been practicing. But if they'll go with a veteran player in this game if they have to, but Donovan Wilson will get his time on special teams like he has since he's been back.
If you're a nice person, you don't want to put a rookie safety against Aaron Rodgers, Mark.
No.
That's just mean. Travis Frederick gearing up for the game. Our final Twitter question of the day. What do we have from Alex? Will Dak be more involved in RPOs and rollouts to alleviate running lanes for Zeke? Everybody likes to see Dak on the move.
Well, yeah, Dak on the move. The way the running game today, I think, is going to materialize is going to be counter plays. And again, this is when you watch the Packers play defensively. The Philadelphia Eagles did a really nice job of this. Down block, get a guy in space. Make this Packer defense have to pursue. They're bad against the run, so they pursue hard to try and fill lanes and fill gaps. So I feel like that the Cowboys are going to, Dak Prescott ball handling, show the ball to the left, and then it comes back to the right. Eagles had some success doing that. Look for some down blocks. Look for some guys in space. Look for the Cowboys to try and take advantage of some over-pursuing of the Green Bay Packers today.
All right, you're looking live out at AT&T Stadium. Let's head out to the sideline with Nick and Rob for our very special weekly guest here on Pregame Live.
Thanks, guys. We're joined, as always, by Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer, and we just talked about it beforehand. We got Ellen down here, Danica Patrick, and you just said a lot of people want to be at this game.
Yeah, this is a big one. I mean, obviously, this has turned into a great rivalry with the Packers, going back to Favre and now to Rodgers. Of course, Aaron seems to have our number a little better than Brett had it, but we've got our work cut out for us today. He's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. I'm sure he's motivated to come out here and have a great one, but I know our fans love games like this, and as you said, the stars are out, and it's going to be a lot of excitement and a great atmosphere for a game like this.
I heard about half your answer. I think it's a playoff-type environment out here today. How did Michael Gallup and Tyrone Crawford look during the week to you? It's got to be big on both sides of the ball to have them back.
Really big. I mean, Michael Gallup, he just made huge strides in a hurry, and tough guy, and just, he's ready to go. We expect him to be full bore today, and he overcame that injury quickly after he had the scope, and just lucky to get him back. I think he'll really help get this offense back on track this week. And then, of course, Tyrone Crawford, I mean, he leads that line group and heads that room up, and he just loves to play the game, and expect to have a great game from him today as well.
Yeah, two guys you just talked about coming back. One guy, though, won't be playing for you today, Tyron Smith. Cam Fleming fills in. This was why you re-signed and why you got Cam Fleming for moments like this. You have a lot of trust in him, right?
Absolutely. He did a great job doing it last year. He started tackling Super Bowls for the Patriots. I mean, he's just a pro's pro, and I have a ton of confidence that he'll come in here and do a great job in Tyron's absence, and then hopefully get big number 77 back next week.
Defensively, how do you think the defense has progressed so far leading up to this game? And what do you think, having seen Aaron a lot, what's the biggest key to trying to contain him today?
Well, the biggest thing is get pressure on him, and that can be hard with him. He's got such a quick release. He gets rid of the ball in a hurry, but we can't let him sit back there and have all day to throw it. And I think our defense is really coming together. They're starting to get some good pressure. Did a great job last week of getting pressure, and I think if we can do that today, it'll certainly give this defense a great shot to stop Aaron. They've been playing great football this year, and we just need to keep getting better.
All right, well, we really appreciate you coming by, and we got a lot of people to talk to here, so thanks again. Stephen Jones, we'll throw it back to you guys.
Thank you all. Enjoy the game out there at the stadium. Love having Stephen on our show every week.
Oh, he's super I think he likes to be on the show too.
He does love it.
I think he enjoys. He kind of looks at those guys. They say Stephen kind of tries to find them. He's like, where are my guys? Where are my guys?
Where's this guys? Yes. Gary Brown usually pops in the background whenever he can.
That's good luck too, by the way.
It's good luck. Gary, where are you? We need you back. Absolutely. All right, Danny joining us to play our favorite game, Choose One, Wisconsin edition. Shouts out to the training table for having Wisconsin food this week.
The brats. You enjoy those?
I liked the cheese curds.
Oh, cheese curds.
So good. All right, I'm obviously picking queso because I love Tex-Mex.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Texas. I have queso in my veins, so I'm going to go queso.
I have a terrible story about queso in Green Bay. Even though that state's known for cheese, they mess up queso at Los Banditos.
Seriously?
The Mexican food place in Green Bay. Everybody packed in there. I could have gone down to Tom Thumb there and got me or Albertsons and got me a El Chico frozen dinner that would have been better than that.
What?
They messed up queso in Green Bay. They did. They did. That's what I'm saying. I would go in there. I'm like, oh, this is the best queso ever. And I'm like, guys, no. We play at the end of the year in Dallas. I'll take you to a Mexican food place. Mine is Pepper Jack.
Yeah.
I love Pepper Jack.
Spice
Very
it up.
versatile cheese.
All right, let's do TV. What do we got from TV shows? I'm going to go with what I grew up watching. That's Walker, Texas Ranger. That is not a lie.
I grew up with Dallas, but I grew up with Happy Days though too. Dallas is my favorite show of all time.
I grew up with that 70s show.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'm going to go that 70s show.
It's a great one.
Oh, I'm the old man of the group, Dallas.
This is really hard, and I'm mad at our producer, Caden Gates, for making us do this. Best quarterback. You got a guy with a Packers Super Bowl ring. You got a gal who grew up with Brett Favre jerseys, and then we're all here at Dallas. Like, Roger. I guess I'll go with Roger. Roger's my pick.
I'll second that one. I feel, I hope Troy's not watching this. I feel they're just so great. Two obviously well-known Cowboys quarterbacks in the league. It's so hard to choose, but I'm going to go with Rodgers as well, Linz.
Bart Starr, one of the nicest men I ever met. I do have a Super Bowl ring from Brett Favre. I grew up loving Roger Staubach.
Is there a way that it could be a four-way tie?
No, I have to take Roger Staubach. I do. I mean, my whole life was watching Roger Staubach. I know it was only 10 years he played, but I do love Brett Favre for what he did for getting me a Super Bowl ring.
You're forever indebted.
Ever indebted.
Love you, Brett. Shouts out to you. Let's talk keys to the game. Everybody just throw out your key to the game. It's pretty simple when you got Aaron Rodgers on the other side. Danny, you want to go first?
Sure. My key to the game is to run the ball. The Cowboys need to hand the ball to Zeke, and they need to let him go off. He was held to just 35 rushing yards last week, but that was with the Saints defense. This Packers defense, the run defense, has been pretty poor the last 3 weeks. They're allowing an average of 174 rushing yards the last 3 weeks. This is a game you need to get the ball to Elliott, especially with Cam Fleming filling in for Tyron Smith on left tackle. And then whenever Zeke needs a break, fill in Tony Pollard. Brian, you were mentioning that earlier. We know last week was a situation with possession time and trying to find the rhythm. The Cowboys need to find that rhythm, and they need to hand the ball to number 21 right there.
I'll tell you what, it said like a scout right there. That's good stuff.
I sit by you all week. I learned a few things.
No, that's good, though. I'll tell you what, though, Lids, short memory. You need a short memory. And we talked about this on the blueprint the other day is Aaron Rodgers is going to make some plays in this game. And you just got to understand that's going to happen. So kind of if bad things happen, put it behind you, go forward, get to the next play. Jason Garrett always talks about what you have to do on the next play. Do your assignment, play your play. And that's going to be the key for this one. Put that behind you, try and get to the next play.
And I'm going to go with creating a turnover somehow and then getting points out of it. That might be a little complicated for a key to the game, but this is going to end up with who has the ball last. That's how it usually is when you have Aaron Rodgers. So create a turnover, score off of it, and hopefully you are ahead. And don't give Rodgers more than 10 seconds?
5 seconds.
Five?
There's a chance for turnovers. Last week before the Saints game, defensive backs coach, passing game coordinator Chris Richard said that the turnovers was the area that the Cowboys were really lacking. Cornerback Cheetah Uzi had the team's first interception last week, and Richard said that typically once those interceptions start, they come in bunches. So, Lindsay, this might be a week where your key to the game could be really realistic, as if they start having this confidence from Awuzie's interception, and that carries over into this week.
100% agree. You're looking at the big men from AT&T Stadium. We are close to kickoff, and we hope you enjoyed Pregame Live this week. We will be back immediately with postgame reaction. Nate Newton will join us in studio for the Dr. Pepper First Word. Enjoy the game, everybody. Don't be too nervous. We'll see you after.
The Dallas Cowboys pregame show, live from the Star in Frisco, was brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. SWBC Mortgage, financial solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit swbc.com. And by the Dallas Cowboys Football Club. Want to tour AT&T Stadium? For more information, call 817-892-TOUR or visit dallascowboys.com/tours.